Howdy, howdy, happy Sunday, the 24th of August, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Welcome to my studio where I come to do yoga and other exercises, talk about theories related to the body, the mind, everything that connects to, those things connect to. So if this is your first time here, it is pretty random, but on Sundays I do stretching. So today is Sunday. I will do stretching primarily. Sometimes I will get stuck on one particular stretch because my theory or motto, if you will, one of my, what's the word? I'll remember it later. Is basically just go with the flow. And if you feel like you need to stop in something, hold on to something a little bit longer, or maybe go deeper into something to follow that. So I model that a lot on this channel, but Sundays are supposed to be specifically for stretching. Monday is mobility, so once body is sort of warmed up from Sunday and like we checked in to make sure there's nothing that's like hanging us up or anything that needs extra attention, then we get towards like moving those stretches into more of a flow, or movements that are dynamic enough that you would feel comfortable doing them on a whim if you needed to. So for example, sometimes you might like trip or like slip, and you need to be able to like catch yourself really fast without like snapping your wrist or like busting your knee, right? So some of the mobility exercises that I do on Monday are agility based. They give you the body muscle memory to be able to just kind of know where you can land safely and without spazzing out or without hurting yourself in the process. So even things like strengthening, especially for me, I've been trying to work on my hip flexors and get more flexibility in my hips. So the more I move my hips, the more flexibility I have, which is also helping with my lower back pain that I was having because I was sitting down a lot. So all of those things are connected, and that's just what I'm focusing on. But as I go through these things, you might notice you have some of the same issues, or you might discover something along the way, and you'll trade out what you want to do with what I'm focusing on, and vice versa. The goal is to be able to have everyone kind of chiming in with what's working for them, what they've come up with, any questions you might have, and just sort of build an online community of people that are, taking it day by day in their own private space, maintaining their vibe. You don't have to listen to what I'm doing. You don't have to listen to my music. It could just be a time you carve out for yourself to actually, step into your body and do something that's good for your body, rather than feeling the stress of getting dressed and driving to the gym, or getting to the gym somehow and like being out in public and not knowing what you're doing, or not feeling even prepared to be on machines or anything like that, right? I started doing this because I was just trying to get out of the funk of not doing anything, and there was a lot of stuff that was negative going on in my life, so I was just like, you know what, I've been sitting at home long enough, like there's no reason why I can't just do something at home. And I had a gym membership and everything, but I just felt like when I went, like I was just kind of like, I did it, but it just wasn't the vibe, I didn't feel good about it. So yeah, I started doing things at home, and it's grown little by little. If you're super into fitness, or if you have like a athletic background, you might be looking at me and wondering, what am I doing that's so special? I don't think anybody has any intention of coming up with anything that's like groundbreaking. I think the whole point is to be able to know what your body is saying to you, being able to communicate with your body. And I don't believe that that's something that just shoots off like lightning. Like synapses, sure, like you send information, but it's information that you've learned. And I just feel like even being able to like when you hold a stretch, for example, you can sit like this in the stretch, and you can say, oh, see, I can sit in this stretch, I'm flexible, and then you can move on. Or you can sit in the stretch for 3 minutes and notice the difference between how you relax into the stretch and how much more range you actually have. And that is the difference. When you settle into that space of letting your body really like relax, is when you're going to get the most communication. And that's when you're going to be able to say, like, okay, now I can tell that, like, you know, my left hip, like right now, my left hip is tight across the top right here. Like, it's not tight like normally if I was just holding it, I'd be like, oh, this leg feels tight and not really identify specifically where it is. But now that the tension is dissipated in other parts of my leg, I can tell it's because this part is trying to like grip or like flex more than the rest of my leg. And so now that this area is kind of released tension, it's here. And that means I can focus more attention on that space rather than tensing up my whole leg, if that makes sense. So that's the method that I'm going with. I'm learning these things as I go, although a lot of what I have come up with, my theories on health and wellness and all of the things that go in between, is really just about like listening to your inner voice, any way that your body is communicating that's not in the three-dimensional, you know, not how fast your heart rate is going, although that's important, not like super into breath work, although that's important, but just like really, well actually breath work is a good idea if you can focus on that. I think I'm a little bit too ADD to just be like super into breath work. I either like can't pay attention or I fall asleep, which is really annoying too. Hopefully you know what I mean. I don't know. This is that frequency music that I think doesn't sound like music. It just is a weird, never-ending tone in the background. So let me see if I can find something else. This says it's work music. Black Moon music. Let's see what this is. Oh, it's just more tones. More tones. What's this? Japan Summer. I feel like you can't hear any of these. Lo-fi vibes. I'm gonna just go with some basic YouTube lo-fi vibes, dude. Old school. Stretching out my ankles, now I'm stretching out my hips if I'm holding this position. Sundays are for deep stretching. Mondays they're still the same positions, usually a stretching, but again they're more quick, not like full on stretching sessions. Switching side. This side is a lot looser than the other side was. I probably won't have to. Oh, you know what? I did this side. That's why. I'm like, oh, this was not that. Okay, wait. I'm getting turned around. Also, what do you think of my shirt? Is this weird? I feel like I'm getting to the point where I think everybody gets to this point, but like you have a closet full of like clothes that you still like. You like them probably more than the clothes you have, but you don't want to like waste them. You know? You're just like, no, I'm gonna save it for like an actual good event. Like you have like a really cute dress and you could wear it like to anywhere. You could wear it to the mall and it would still be cute. But you're like, no, I'm gonna get like a good picture in it or something like that. So you end up not wearing it. That's how I feel like I've been living. Just like, you know what? Like I'm gonna make so much more money in the future that I don't want to pretend like this is the best I'm gonna have, you know? So I'm just like, I should just wear it. Honestly. I should just wear it. And I'm getting to that point. But as I was thinking this, and this has been like a couple of I'd say at least a week now, things like this are like very universal. They look so like plain and weird, but like because it's super light and it has a color and it just comes my tattoos. So if I go into like a cathedral or something like that, like I can just like hard to explain. There's versatile clothing that is just like, I don't know. I think what you'll do is I like living out of a suitcase, not in like the ghetto, like I'm homeless way, but just like the jet setter way. Like I have to be this place on Tuesday, and then my next flight is in the morning, so I really only have the night to go out. You know what I mean? Like that kind of life. I'm just like, what can I put in a suitcase to carry on that's gonna be versatile enough for whatever I want? Because I don't like really having plans. I like being able to just like find out about something. Got invited to a wedding that was gonna have this big mariachi band in Mexico once. Supposed to be staying in San Pancho. I ended up staying in San Pancho. The street didn't just crap. Yeah, I met, it was like the car rental place, and then family was like sitting there waiting for their car, and they're like, "You should come." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like that's 100% something I would do." Like they're from LA, they're hella nice, and they had like their family or whatever. It seemed like it was gonna be so much fun. Like they were already like lit. I was just like, man, like I totally would. But it's if I had got invited to that wedding and I had a dress, I would have put this over. It would have been fine. Like I could have like tucked it even, or like it wouldn't have been the cutest, but you know what I mean? Like the collar silks and deals. It'd be like that. I don't know. The rest of the outfit don't make no sense. This is what happens when you're just trying to get up at the end and not be bummed by the time you're in camera. It still happened. Can't really like wipe back. So yes, the weather has been so freaking nice the last couple of days. I've been outside. Zoe's been outside. I feel like her eyesight has gone like very south in the last couple of days. I'm like worried and not worried because it's like she's like, what are they gonna do? Even if it is something, they're gonna be like, whoa, the potential, the worst. So just like, but she seems okay. She's just not really eating, and she does that a lot. So it's like I also don't want to like worry because I've done that before many times. Obviously now she's so old. Or I'll take her somewhere and they're like, well, give me this, and this, and all the blood work and stuff. And like by the time they do all that, she's fine again. So yeah, we were out yesterday for a long time. She seemed really happy because she hasn't eaten. She's been drinking water. And she didn't want to walk this morning, but I could tell since she didn't eat, so she's tired. Poor little baby. ride my bike? Should I go kayak? Should I go drive on a road trip? Road trip probably not because I have to stream tomorrow. And I don't want to have to. What else could I do? I think those are really the options, right? If I go rollerblade, I can't bring so, but yeah, just I don't know. I feel like I'd rather bring her with me. It's good for her to get fresh air. She's not gonna like eat, at least she get but I also don't wanna like if she's sick, like when you feel sick and you're like, I just wanna stay home, like so I don't wanna do that to her. But just like, well, I'm gonna make you sit in the sun with me, Sometimes she doesn't like sitting in the sun. Sometimes she will find something, even if it's a nice day, and then she'll just decide that she'd rather be in the shade that day. I don't know, man. Been a passenger princess the last couple days.
then I was like, I feel like kind of sleepy, so I sleep. focusing on making sure my back is completely flat on the ground.
Maybe that takes a little bit to chip into.
I saw like a way to do this. I feel like it was like this.
Can't remember how it was.
I feel like this like was like back here maybe.
I'll remember it for tomorrow.
But yeah, basically the windshield wiper.
Okay, let me turn this down. We'll just turn it down. Alright, so again, it is Sunday the 24th of August, 2025. That was Sunday stretching. I think I'm going to call this the Sunny Sunday Flow. When I change the title, if it's not on here, I'll change the title for YouTube. Because I kind of like this flow, honestly. I mean, I was up and down the wall on the, being on the ground and coming back up. But for some reason, I think it's because I was doing arms, standing up, and then I went back to the ground and did arms, shoulders. And I think that's why I felt like it was flowing a lot more. So I was planning on doing shoulders against the wall. But then I was like, the music made me kind of sleepy, so then I was like, I'd rather just go back down. And ended up working out because I almost forgot to do my windshield wipers and all of those things. Yeah. So I feel like I covered everything for the most part. I could have done arms a little bit more, like, these babies. I could do it right now while I'm talking, I guess. Yeah, I could have done arms a little bit more, but again, focus on what matters to you the most. If you notice that something needs more attention, then give that more attention. If you feel like, you're ready to move on, something's not challenging enough for you, you can always figure out a way to make it harder. You can ask me how to make it a little more difficult or how to get the most out of it. But yeah, if you're really trying to follow my method and you live in the right environment, I highly recommend, instead of figuring out how you can work on something while in your house or wherever you are indoors watching Twitch, go outside and at the very least watch it outside. That's what I've been doing. I've been like addicted to watching something online, and so I have been riding my bike and listening to it at the same time. That way I'm doing two things at once, because I mean honestly I'm just sitting still anyway when I'm watching whatever it is I'm watching at home, so I might as well be on my bike. And it's been really nice. It's almost like the perfect combo. It is. My biggest concern right now is my bike battery not working as long. So I get paranoid about things really early, and like I've never gotten it below like 65%, but I notice it's at 100 for a very long time, and then it drops down to like 75, like within like 20 minutes or so. So it'll be at like 100% for like an hour and a half, and then all of a sudden it'll go down to 75 in a matter of like 20 minutes. And that happened to me one time when I was driving an electric car when I was in Nevada. I think I might have talked about that on here, I'm not sure. But the battery just dropped so fast and it was so unexpected, and so that's my biggest complaint, or my biggest worry with this bike, is that I'm gonna get really far, because I get to places and I'm like, wow, I could keep going. Like yesterday I was somewhere and I was like, this is beautiful, like I can keep going, I really want to keep going. But I was like, my battery's already down when it was like 88 or something, and I was like, nah, like, because I don't know how far that's gonna be, and I already know how far I have to go back. And I still had like 50% battery when I got back, but like, who knows what would have happened. Yeah. But I really do also, I need to start doing IRL bike streams. Like I really just like ride with me and do like a cool bike ride thing. I feel like I should definitely do that when I move. Like definitely do that. Because I feel like anytime I'm in a new place, like it's already exciting and I'm willing to explore a lot more than I would if I was like riding around Seattle, right? Like, oh, I already know where that alley goes, so who cares? Whereas somebody that's watching it on stream might be like, I've never seen this before, I want to see where that alley goes. So yeah. It's all in the making. It's all in the making. But yeah, on Sunday stream, I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm planning on posting it on my YouTube channel sooner than later. It's going to be titled Sunny Sunday Flow, and that's because I feel like this flow worked really, really well. So I might promote it a little more than my other runs, just because I do feel like it actually flowed this time, at least for me. Might have been the music. I think the music was a little misleading. But yeah, that being said, I'll see you tomorrow for Mobility Monday. Bye.